Ladies and gentlemen of Stiller Nation, how are y'all in Stiller Land? Today we're previewing the Thursday night, Thanksgiving night game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And in my opinion, it's going to be a tough game as always versus the Ravens. But the Steelers, in my prediction, will pull it out. They're just a more battle-tested team, in my opinion. Ben is a better quarterback than Flacco. Flacco is lost out there sometimes, but they are the defending champions of the world, I assume. But the Steelers are 23-15 all time versus the Ravens. Ben is 10-4 versus the Ravens and 72 versus the Ravens with Flacco. So looking to improve on that record and improving on their overall record and move to 6-6 and in a sole possession of second place in the AFC North and get their last wild card spot. I think they'll do it. Make history, be the first team to go 0-4 and still make the playoffs. Although, in my opinion, they don't need to. They need to get a decent draft pick this year. But anyways, here are the reasons why the Steelers will win. First off, like I mentioned, Ben Roethlisberger, who statistically is better than Flacco, as well as just, I believe a better player. He has 19 touchdowns to 14 to Flacco. The Steelers rushing game is not what it used to be by any means. And the Ravens rushing game is better statistically, but as far as touchdowns, but as far as yards per carry, the Steelers have that. And the receiving core, the Steelers have more touchdowns and yards than the Ravens. Antonio Brown, the league's leading receiver with 80 receptions, and Cotchery leads the Steelers with 7 touchdowns. Looks like he also leads the Ravens also with 7 touchdowns. And as you can see on the offensive comparison, the Steelers have more yards a game, more passing yards, but the Ravens have a slight edge in rushing. And if we take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive rankings, they rank 21st in points, 15th in yards, 8th in passing yards, and 30th in rushing yards. But I think that passing game can get it done. That the threats of Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and Jericho Cotchery, they're a formidable receiving core, and I think they'll give the Ravens problems this week, as they have. We're pretty much giving almost everybody problems, as long as Ben is calling the plays and not Todd Haley. They need to get rid of Todd Haley and get a fullback, in my opinion. Get a fullback, line up in I formation, and go back to smash my football. They can win a few more games. I don't know what they're trying to do with all this other stuff Todd Haley's running. But, yeah, those are the Steelers' offensive stats. Defense. The defense is not what it was in the past. It's on a decline. You have 13th in points, 13th in yards, 10th in passing yards, and 23rd in rushing yards, which is unheard of. That's just unheard of for the Steelers. They were at one point, they weren't giving up. You couldn't get 95 yards rushing on the Steelers. But Baltimore stats offensively, they rank 25th in points, 29th in yards, 19th in passing yards, and 27th in rushing yards. They're not much better than the Steelers offensively. It's just the Ravens are up and down. They just, you never know what you're going to get from week to week. And on defense, their defense is better than the Steelers. It's actually quite formidable. By looking at the stats, it's 7th in points, 10th in yards, 11th in passing yards, and 11th in rushing yards. So, like I said, it'll be a tough battle. I think the Steelers have enough weapons to pull it out. And, although the game was in Baltimore, it really doesn't matter with these two teams. They can win on each other's fields on any given week. But I just think that Ben is riding a hot streak. They have, I believe it's a 2-game winning streak. They won 5 of their last 7. And like I said, they're primed to make this little playoff run. The Ravens coming off a big win last week against the Jets. But that was the Jets. And, well, we beat Cleveland. But Cleveland and Detroit. So looking forward to the game Thursday night. And I'm real sure Steeler Nation will prevail against the Baltimore Ravens.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Steelers, here we go. Pittsburgh's gone to Super Bowl.